Welcome to the Life, Love, Everything podcast with me, your host, Tasman Buerta. It's season 2, baby. And I know you guys have been waiting a long time for this. And I appreciate you guys waiting. um, let's get into it. Like, what has happened that I've taken so long to launch season 2? And yeah, let me just give you an update, a catch up on what's been happening in the world of the Buertas. So, if you guys remember on the previous season, I had said that I was toying with the idea of going back to work. So, I took the plunge, got myself a little temp job. And yeah, the juggle, the struggle was very, very real. And as you guys know, I have worked previously. I have also done the stay-at-home mom thing. And when I tell you both are hard, I really, really mean it. Both are hard. Whether you are a full-time working mom, part-time working mom, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, whether you work temporarily or part-time or half a day or whatever that might look like for you and your family, let me tell you that it is not child's play. And I also fell for the joke of, and I think I've also said this previously, that, as the kids get older, things will be more easier to handle and to juggle. Wrong, 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 wrong. Let's just say, I think each season of each child's life comes with its own set of challenges and struggles and battles. And yeah, we have all like been adjusting to a new norm. And I mean, I think I've got a problem whereby I just can't not be busy. Like I always have to be doing something. My mind is always going a million miles an hour all time, all hours of the day and night. And so I find myself taking on more at times than I can chew. But like I also kind of thrive on that. I don't know. Even though working under pressure is really not really not my strong suit. I tend to want to always do more and be more and give more. And so yes, as much as the struggle has been real, I'm also finding out that human interaction, adult interaction is extremely important for me and for my well-being and for my mental health. Because if I look back, I now realize that I actually was kind of depressed because I was stuck in the house all the time and I was the only sense of comfort and nourishment and support for the kids. And I didn't realize how much of a mental as well as a physical struggle that was, and how much it affected me as a person. Because, like most moms tend to do, we get so caught up in being mothers that we actually forget about ourselves and neglect ourselves. So it has been nice watching myself come out of my cocoon. And that's not to say that, I am very blessed that, um, you know, staying at home was an option. Might not have been the easiest and the best option, but we were able to do it, albeit with a lot of sacrifices and a lot of tightening of belts and things like that. But I don't disregard that fact, because I know that there are a lot of women that would love to be able to stay home with their kids and just because of financial reasons cannot do that. So I'm very grateful for it. And like I said, I went back into the working world temporarily. It was also kind of like a push for myself. You know how imposter syndrome tends to roll up on a person and you think you can't do certain things. And so I like pushing myself. And so I wanted to see if I would be able to do it and exactly what my boundaries were and, what I would stand for and what I wouldn't stand for. And I definitely went into it with the mind frame of I'm never ever sacrificing my children's wants and needs. That was the main focus when I decided to take on this temporary job. And I was very blessed that, the particular company that I went to go and do the temporary work at understood that. They understood where I was coming from as a mother, as being the main caretaker of the kids. They understood that would come with not a lot of, but sometimes not being available all the time to attend to working related matters. They understood very much so that I'm a mother of a premature child who also has special needs. And so that kind of took a lot of stress out of the situation, because I do recall it was, a big point of contingency in my previous employment, and how I managed to stay there for so many years, especially after becoming a mom. Because obviously, when I started working there, I was fresh out of school, didn't really have any responsibilities. I didn't have any children at that time. I was not married at that time. And so I literally gave all of me, both physically and mentally, to a job. And when I did become a mother, the fact that I was now a mom and a wife was never ever really taken into consideration or respected. In fact, I was penalized many, many, many times because I was a mother. And it was one of the reasons, why I left, not once, but twice, actually. First, after having my premature baby, there was just like no way that I was going to be fighting about needing time off, to take my child to follow up appointments. And best believe, those first 2 years were extremely hectic. And so, yeah, that was just a battle that I was not willing to fight, and I didn't. And so I left. Fast forward a few years later, I went back. Of course, now, at that time, I thought my premier was healthy and thriving, and it so happened that in that period, that was also, I was going back actually temporary just to assist them, and it ended up becoming a full-time thing again. And I ended up falling pregnant with my third child, which again resulted in having issues when it came to the fact that I was a mother. And so, yeah, as life happens and as God moves, He removed me from that situation, and which is how I ended up staying home with the boys for a while. And, everything happens for a reason and falls into place when it needs to fall into place. Like, that is what I love about how God moves, because many a times we find ourselves doubting ourselves, right? We're always questioning ourselves, and He's got this. And so when that decision was made, I made it fearlessly, because I knew that God would carry us, that He would look after us, and He has. And me being home was the best thing for my boys at that time. But people are growing up, everybody's in school at the moment, everybody is thriving. But boy, let me tell you, the managing of everybody's schedules is something that to today still throws me. I literally live my life via a calendar. So if you are not on the calendar, if a thing has not been put on the calendar, best believe it's not going to happen. From pickups to drop-offs to special events that are happening at their schools to therapies, sporting events, you name it, it has to be on the calendar in order for it to work, in order for it to be done. And of course, Javier and I are finding ourselves having to divide and conquer most of the time. Um, and so, yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting to say the least. But, again, with this, I don't have a very big village. It's something that I have spoken about in the past. And sometimes I also understand that God removed a lot of situations, a lot of people, a lot of things out of my life for a very, very good reason, and which I'm very, very grateful for. Yes, at the time, being alone, doing it while afraid, doing it while sick at times, it was very, very difficult. but he showed us that, we don't need anything else or anyone else beside him. And so even now, when things get too much, when I feel like I'm drowning, when I feel like I need help, I always turn to him and he always comes through. So the little village that he has created for us, when it comes to, the lady that helps me with looking after the boys, when it comes to our physical therapists, our teachers, our doctors, that little village has been my saving grace in all of this, because nobody understands what we as a family are going through like they do. And so I'm so grateful for, how everybody has stepped up and stepped in the ways that they have, in ways that you would not expect people who hardly, or I can even say in some cases actually know me better than some of my family members. I just, as a person, I didn't think that was possible for people to love you and to love your children in a way that even your own family cannot. So it's been a interesting chapter of growth, chapter of learning. And yeah, that's a big reason as to why the podcast has taken so long, you know, to get rolling again for season number 2. But, like I said to you guys when we started this journey, that we're gonna do this in real time, in real life, with real life happening. And so the beautiful thing about this podcast is that I haven't put pressure on myself to do a certain thing, to be a certain way, to provide a certain type of content at a certain time. It's just me being me. And this is my safe space. You guys are my safe space. Even though I know for a fact that there are people who are listening for the sake of having an update on what's going on in my life, because I have stopped allowing people to have access to me that I don't want to have access to me. And some people, will think that I don't know, but I'm well aware. But I'm no longer living life in fear of what people think of me. I've been doing that for a long time. People pleasing has actually been my kryptonite throughout life. And I think after last year's near-death scare, I am living unashamedly the way that I feel fit for me and my family. And sometimes that might be loud and proud, but I have learned, that moving in silence is actually more powerful than ever being loud and in your face about situations and things that you've got going on and all of that. And, if you do follow me on social media, you'll see that, whenever like major things happen, I will always post after the fact. And just because, yeah, we're protecting our peace, we're protecting our kids' peace, protecting their privacy. So, the kids aren't shown as much as they used to. They get shown whatever it is that they want to show, or if it is a Premier related thing. But other than that, yeah, we're all just growing and learning and thriving and being. And as much as this has been a very, 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 very busy season in life, it has been a very fruitful season. And I'm so grateful for that. And, in true old me fashion, I'm still doing the preemie stuff. I don't think I will ever not do the preemie stuff. I might not be doing it on the scale that I had thought that I would be doing it. And that's just, there's been some hindrances, which I now know is God's way of stopping me from making unnecessary mistakes. And so yeah, we learn and we live and we move on and we try new things and we try new avenues, and we see where we're gonna go. I feel like this next season is going to be one of prosper, because I've been in my quiet season and planting season, and I feel like the growing season is not too far away, and I love it. And I've also, I've had a lot of time to work on some pet projects. Um, Even though I've had some setbacks, and I don't know if I'll tell you the story, or maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. Um, when it comes to the online business, but I believe that all things happen for a reason, for sure. And so I never ever question what the reason is. We just learn and we move on and we grow from what we have learned. So, yeah, although certain things have not gone the way that I would have thought that they would gone, I do know that all things happen for the good of God. So, with the relationship that I have with him, I never doubt and I never question as to why things are happening the way that they are. Because I just know he's doing them all for my good and all for the good of my family. And so, yeah, we keep on pushing. But I'm super excited. You're going to see some little changes here and there. Even though we are still hosted on Spotify, we are now recording on um, a new platform, because Spotify doesn't allow you to record on their platform anymore. And so again, we're back to the learning board. So we'll be learning new things, discovering new things about this editing and posting. And we're hoping to expand. I'm hoping to learn. And maybe if there's someone out there who is watching that knows an easy way, because time is an issue for me. I don't have very much free time, and so I need something that can be explained to me in layman's term, like step 1 you need to do, step 2 you need to do, step 3 you need to do. I don't need a long drawn out explanation. So if you can, please leave in the comments about how we can expand our reach. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for having patience. Thank you for supporting me. I see your messages, I see your DMs. I know a lot of you have been asking, when are we coming back? And we are back, baby. And we are looking for there's going to be some interesting topics coming up in this season, I believe. Another thing that has been hindering me when it comes to the time thing is that I actually haven't had the free time to sit and prep, because as I've been doing all the other stuff, I actually joined another fellowship. So for those of you that don't know, I was a part of the inaugural class of the Mamandla Fellowship back in 2019. And I just wanted to see if I could would I be able to get into another fellowship? And Homegirl went, and I do think it was round about the time when I was curled up in bed after my surgery when I applied for this fellowship. And I went and I applied for the fellowship, and what do you know, Homegirl got accepted into this fellowship. So I've been doing the Amplify, Mobilize, Change Fellowship for 2024. And let's just say that definitely I bit off more than I could chew when it came to that. I didn't realize how in-depth and how much time commitment as well as focus on the tasks at hand. And so we have had a lot of modules that we had to go through, and assignments that we had to submit during the course of this fellowship. And so I found myself, like, in the beginning, obviously I hit the ground running. I was doing so well, and I promise you, life, and I started falling behind. And we are nearing the end of the fellowship, so I think that's going to free up some more time for me in order to be able to focus on the love of recording the podcast and just talking about all the stuff that's happening. And another thing that's really frustrating me, which I think I might just drop, do you want to call them golden nuggets or some reality, or I don't know, we'll come up with a nice catchy name throughout the, not necessarily season related, but there are things that are happening. Like, remember I told you guys that I'm so in, like, I'm very, not very, but I'm into pop culture and totally love reality TV. And there's been like so much reality shows and stuff that have happened and things that have happened. Like, the new season of Selling Sunset just finished, and like I have thoughts on that. But because I'm taking so long to record the podcast, I haven't been able to actually share those thoughts. So, as we are sitting here busy conversating, I have just decided that we are going to drop golden nuggets when whatever reality is happening. I'm going to hop on, even if it's a quick little 15 minute. I think 15 minutes is good enough for us to have a little kiki ha ha what's going on in the world of reality TV. I mean, we all know what's happening in the industry when it comes to the music industry and the Diddy's thing. And oh my God, what a rabbit hole. I mean, there's a lot been going on with our very own Tyler and the being colored thing. And I'm not going to lie, it has sparked up something inside of me, because for those of you who don't know, I am colored. Yes, a whole ethnic group based in South Africa. And it's something that I have spoken with some of my guests behind the scenes, which I don't think actually should be behind the scenes, about being colored and about, the struggles that we have faced as colored people, and about how times are changing in South Africa for colored people, especially now that we have just had elections and we have the GNU, with one of the ministers being a colored man who is a reformed ex-gangster. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I am talking about the leader of the PA, Mr. Gayton McKenzie, who has quite literally shocked our whole country at how phenomenally well he is doing. And he is a man that stands on business, and we need that in our country. And so, like, yeah, there's just so much happening that I'm just not getting to be able to talk about, because a lot of my content is very, I want to say, well thought of content. I know in the first season I was very intentional about the things that I was talking about and to whom I was talking to it about. But I want to stick with the free flow of what this podcast is. And it's the platform where I get to talk about other things other than the main things that I speak about. If you'll see on my social media, when it comes to prematurity, when it comes to motherhood, those are the largest parts of my life. But, this season, we're definitely going to jump into the love aspect of the love life everything podcast, because we've done the life thing of it, we've done the everything thing of it, but we haven't touched on the love part of it. So I'm very excited for you guys to hear what we've got in store when it comes to that. And yeah, just like thank you guys once again, for those that have been tuning in, that did tune in weekly to catch up on the episodes, for those that gave love on social media and reshared, like, you are seen, you are appreciated. And yeah, thank you for sticking with me. And let's get the season 2 on the road. And with that, I'm out. We will speak again next week. This is your host, Tasman Botza. I thought I would give just a quick update the other day, but I wasn't going to do a whole new recording in order to do that. And so, like I had said in the previous update, I had gone back into the working field. I was in a temp job. That contract finally came to an end, and I have been back home now for a little period, not too long. And again, now getting back into the groove of being a stay-at-home mom, but I am also working from home, which is an absolute game changer.
And yes, I started the year off with some health issues again, um, which actually I think were very much related to it was the mental coming out in the physical. And so both Hubby and I have actually been on a journey to ensure that our physical health is in check so that our mental health can be better. Because, like I said, when you have no village or a very small village, there is so much pressure on you as the parents, as the couple, to be more, do more. And in the process, you end up forgetting about taking care of yourself. I also feel like with us approaching 40, a lot of things are, coming into play. And so we're being very aware. And we wanna hit the second half of our lives on a healthy note. And so yes, I am not the salad eating type of person. I'm also not the hit the gym kind of girl. I'm doing small intentional things. So I know it's important to get my body moving. And I also really actually don't want to gain a large amount of weight, which is something that I have been struggling with ever since I've become a mom. And I know that by being home is the biggest issue when it comes to that, because obviously you have easy access to nonsense to eat. So I find myself struggling with that a lot. But I'm so intentional. I start my mornings off very intentional. I actually even wake up before I have to get the kids ready to make sure that I pour into my own cup so that I'll be able to pour into theirs. And of course, the kids are loving it. I didn't realize how much they wanted and needed me back home until they actually started voicing it. They would complain a lot. Mommy, when are you going to stop working? Mommy, when are you going to be home? And it's really not a nice feeling. But also the reality of life, guys, is that things are expensive and that you can't actually survive on one income. And yes, we have made the sacrifice twice. But just because the cost of living is just so high, everything has increased so much that it's near impossible to live on one salary. And so I'm lucky that I've been able to find something that I can do online that I actually really love and enjoy. And so, yeah, it gives me time to do and be with the boys and attend whatever they've got going on just the way they like. And then I still am able to take a few hours to supplement income. So that's wonderful. Yeah, and so we're all getting used to, I don't think used to, we kind of have a good rhythm going on at the moment. And I'm very, very happy about that. I didn't want to go back into the old track. I didn't want to become depressed. And so that's why I have been so intentional about how I navigate this. And I'm even doing things like having coffee dates with some of my friends. I'm being intentional about speaking with and speaking to the people that have really, really, really been there for us. It's very important, to me. And I've always been that friend that likes to check up and check in anyway. And so, yeah, I'm now able to physically do that because a lot of the time I didn't have time to do that. And so I've been able to do that a bit more now. And yeah, I also have found that I put so much pressure on myself when it came to the podcast. As much as I was saying I didn't want it to be that way, but I've been trying. I had a formula for season one when I did season one, and that formula worked great. And that was to pre plan and pre record and all of that. So I actually had season one all done and ready before I launched. It seems like that is not going to be the case with season two. And while I was in the shower the other day, I was like, you know what? I don't like the fact that I'm procrastinating so much. I don't like the fact that I'm trying to make this look and be a certain way because, like I said earlier, it's not supposed to be that way. It was never supposed to be that way. And so, guys, I have decided I'm launching podcast with only a couple of episodes in the vault. So we don't have a full season ready as yet. And it's okay. I feel like maybe it will put a spark, in order to make sure that I do get it done every week. But the beautiful thing about that is actually things are going to be more in real time, which I love. And so, yes, we are launching season 2 imperfectly. And I kind of feel like that has been the theme for this podcast. We're doing it while afraid. We're doing it without knowing what's going to happen next. We're doing it trusting that the process will work and trusting in God. He didn't give me this idea for no good reason, right? And so I'm just going to trust the process. I'm going to go with the flow, and knowing our beautiful community, I know that you guys will come along for the ride. So yes, this is the update to the update, but let's hit the ground running, guys. We've got this. We've got this. And thank you so much once again for showing up for me, for supporting me, for being here with me. And I hope I love and that the season lives up to your expectations. And let's just keep on building this community, because it's all about building a safe space, sharing our thoughts and ideas in a way that has no pressure. Doesn't have to look a certain way, it doesn't have to sound a certain way, it doesn't have to be picture perfect. But we get to speak about things that matter and that are close to us, and sometimes even the what you think isn't so important, but is something worth mentioning. So I'm looking so forward to season number 2, and let's do this, baby. I am your host, Tasman Buerta, and this is the Life, Love, Everything podcast.